here in game number 2.
Yeah, RCY is going to be rejoining the ranks. Actually, not replacing the stand-in, but replacing Sammy. So, Sammy out, RCY in. We'll see how much of a difference that makes. And RCY, we know to be a rather formidable mid laner. So, everybody more than likely going to be playing their regular roles here on Wildcard, as we have a draft ready for you. So, let's hop right in to that immediately. Now, immediately, already seeing some respect maybe going the way of Infamous. They don't want Mr. Jeans to get his hands on the Pango again, so instantly snapping that up. And yeah, I mean, rightfully so, right? Wildcard, they completely lost the tracks on that first game. Number one, felt like Mr. Jeans on the Pango, Heiko on the Mars, and Nuages and GRPX as well, the Ench and the Mirana, just really ran away with the mid game and created so much space for Mini to come online on the Lycan. So, I mean, there was a very solid game plan for Infamous, and they're starting their first kind of pick out by, saying, you're not going to get all the same components. You're going to have to kind of rethink it, but Infamous, they seem to have something in mind already. Quick picks up Crystal Maiden and Void Spirit immediately are the answers. Ooh.
8-pick Medusa.
Uh-oh. I mean, we know how this one goes. I mean, okay, for what it's worth, when Medusa first kind of got started getting figured out, it was basically, if you don't ban it, you lose, right? And then teams started getting a little bit, a little bit more familiar. They're like, yeah, we know what to do. Let's go offlane AM. Let's try all these funky diffusals. There's a lot of ways you can actually kind of nullify this Medusa. It's not the be all end all. Oh man, they got the Snake Lady. GG's, right? So already some countermeasures coming out. We see the bans coming out from Wildcard to protect the Medusa, in particular the Bloodseeker, to make sure the Pango is relatively unscathed, and of course the AM that is the age-old enemy. Now on the flip side, Infamous Gaming, I like the bans very much, right? With the Medusa, when we talk about the Medusa, it's always about a weaker early laning stage. Sunlight has shown to be playing has shown his Undying. It didn't win them the game, but still was quite significant. Speaking of ways to deal with the Medusa, it's gonna be a Darkseer. So turn a might against her, and the Koto ban as well, very nice. This is something that Wildcard have picked up before, and I mean, additional mana for Medusa, what's not to love?
Right, absolutely. Give her extra effective HP by giving her extra mana, boosting up that mana shield. So good bans coming out from the side of Infamous Gaming. I imagine that we'll be seeing a couple of support picks here coming out from Wildcard. And as you pointed out, something that's a little bit strong in lane to help this Medusa get off to a good start in the game.
Yeah, I think, okay, for what it's worth, I think Wildcard are in a decent position now, because they already got the kind of last pick, haha, Lycan, shit, we didn't expect that, or oh man, we got completely hoodwinked and bamboozled, and they get run over, right? So that's already happened. Wildcard are going to be on extremely high alert now. They are, there are these two players just surveying their list of obnoxious heroes, like the Tinkers, like the summoned heroes, all these cheese picks that could potentially come out, and they're like crossing the T's and dotting the I's and making sure nothing gets past them. Now, Darkseer is a very abusable position 3, because I mean, they instantly ban out the Oracle, one of the greatest counters, but there's a lot of ways you can deal with the Darkseer, right? The Medusa, if you tag team it up with another range support, can really mess with this hero, just harass him straight out of lane. And the thing about Darkseer is it almost sort of telegraphs a melee position 4. I mean, another Purge, very, very strong. Shadow Demon is something that Flea has played to success in their previous series against Sand King Gomez. And a good bit of save as well, right? Anybody who does get on, get into some trouble, the Disruption can get them out of there. Disruption also pretty good setup for whatever picks they are going to line up for, let's say, okay, Spirit Breaker is the selection. So this most likely is our support duo, if I had to guess. The Spirit Breaker is going to be very good at acting as that front line along with the Pango, breaking up the fight and just getting things going for them. So I like this a lot more from Wildcard. It's also a handy deny pick, right? Because Spirit Breaker definitely would benefit a lot from the Surge, a lot from the Ion Shell. And yeah, I mean, that's gonna... And like, whoever you're trying to chase down, the Darkseer surges, and it literally doesn't even matter, because you're like, I'm right there with you, homie. Like, you ain't going nowhere. So maybe that's kind of the thought process there. We'll have to see. Infamous, they are still missing what looks to be a support and perhaps a carry On the flip side, Wildcard, they might be still either missing a off laner or position 4 would be my guess.
Still plenty of reserve time for both teams to think over their draft. And we're going to be using some of it here for the side of Infamous while they're trying to think of the laning partner to go with the Darkseer.
Yeah, I mean, you have your typical sort of Earth Spirits, but that's something that is a bit more. I would say like you gotta be a specialist on it for you to make it work right now. Jupiter, I do think I have seen him pick that up here and there, but I don't know how confident he is in it. It would be really good sort of setup alongside the Void Spirit, like whoever gets gone on first, you follow up with the roll in, basically sealing the deal. But given that there's already a Shadow Demon with the save, you have to sort of be multi-pronged in your assault. So Bounty is the selection here.
Okay. This is something that they've pulled off here in their first series. They picked it twice, was the Bounty Hunter. So
One win, one
going
loss,
back
not
to
too
a
bad.
bit of comfort.
I think it's decent because they don't actually have any good ways of purging the track right now, right? Bounty, especially since the change to Shadow Walk, now stunning, a lot more reliable as a hero in the fights, just because you can count on that going off. And it's gonna be really pesky for either the SD or the Spirit Breaker to deal with in the lane. Just because, I mean, SD, you don't want to go mano a mano on him, just because of the Shadow Poison and the ability for that to stack up. But if you do converge onto the Shadow Demon and he's caught with his pants down without disruption, to be really, really pickly. Now, in banning the Visage again, it must be a target ban maybe for someone specific.
It'd have to be for Monster at this point.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. But some more sort of bans coming out in terms of things we've seen before. Now, the Slug, not something that Infamous have pulled out just yet, but we know, of course, Mini, very formidable carry player, and has pulled out the MK already. So MK was what they, paired up with the Bounty to just kind of make use of that vision, jump and trace them around the tree line. You get that track off, suddenly the fight's a lot easier when your whole map is lit up, or the area is just kind of lit up by all these tracks. Okay, so Wildcard, grabbing a bit of a combo from Infamous. They liked how that Mars and Pango worked together, and yeah, I mean, teamfight definitely in their wheelhouse now. I'm a little bit worried about how their supports will keep up. They definitely need a little bit more levels in EXP to get to where they want to be. But yeah, that's... I mean, the Shadow Demon can do a pretty good job in terms of bodyguarding the Medusa in lane, or whether it's a Spirit Breaker acting as quite literally a meat shield. Not too bad. It does sort of put the Darkseer in a bit of an awkward position, but there's the Faceless Void. So something Mini has already pulled out. There isn't really a whole lot of damage into the Chrono, but this time dilation is going to ruin the life of this Pango, Mars, Spirit Breaker, Shadow, everyone actually. I mean, this time I love this Faceless Void pick. I think it's a bit off the wall when you see what you're working with, but at the same time, a lot of potential for just comboing up Vacuum into Chrono. The Void Spirit, whoever gets gone on first, if they try and turn it around on the Void Spirit, you can immediately suss out where the Shadow Demon is, jump in, Chrono the rest. I really like this lineup from Infamous again, even though Wildcard do have some pretty interesting components that put them in a good spot. What about you, Rada? You got any sort of leanings right now?
Well, that's what I'm thinking about it, man, because I like components from both sides of the drafts.
Okay.
I really do, but I think I'm gonna say, and this could be heart over head. I'm gonna say Wildcard take game number 2, and we get a game number 3. I want a game number 3. The fans want a game number 3. I'm sure you want a game number 3, Mike. So let's give them what they want. Let's go Wildcard. Let's even up the score, and let's take this to a game number 3 on the back of the Shadow Demon Medusa, the slow siege that you can do with the illusions. As I mean,
also hashtag for Sammy Boy, right? You sub in RCY, you put Sammy on the bench. You're like, okay, we have a sub in the position 1 seat, right? It's gonna be up. We can only assume that that's something that this individual is comfortable with. And RCY, this has been the magic maker for them for in their moments of brilliance, right? I mean, this player has been so outstanding in the DPC. I mean, as early on as when he was on Dogchamp, he was making moves, and now on this wildcard roster, he's been a very sort of, he's very much the tip of the spear for them, right? He's the one who's gonna make help them close the distance, help them fight in these crucial engagements to get them that early advantage, and I all hope in RCY.
All hope in RCY. I mean, we've seen this lineup work out in a similar fashion, right? The Pango Mars being the central pivot point of this draft. We've seen this work literally in just the game before. So you know, hopefully we'll be able to see it work to a very similar level. As we are going to go ahead get into this game number 2, there is a pause. So with that pause, we'll go ahead and use the time and go through the hero introductions for game number 2 of Wildcard Gaming versus Infamous. As it is going to be Ark in the carry position, playing the Medusa. It will be Sunlight protecting him with the Spirit Breaker. It will be Monster playing the offlane Mars. We will be seeing RCY subbing in, playing the Pangolier in the mid lane, and to round it out, it is going to be Flea playing the Shadow Demon. Meanwhile, for the side of Infamous Gaming, we will be seeing Nuages playing the Crystal Maiden, GRPX1 on the Bounty Hunter, Mr. Jeans will be playing the Void Spirit, Mini will be on his Faceless Void, and Hiko will be on the Dark Seer. Man, that's one thing that I didn't think about. We have 2 Voids in this game, so we're going to have to be specific. Void Spirit and Faceless Void.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just calling him Mr. Jeans. I don't know about you. Love that name. Love this player. And we get the RCY Mr. Jeans matchup, which is not something I thought I'd be saying today, but I'm happy we have it, right? RCY, I think when I talk about Wildcard, of course, there's Bammy Soy to talk about, but of course, more than anything, this success story really has been on this very young player's back. It's not... I mean, we of course we have the kids still flowing in, you know, all these 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds coming over and then showing the boomers how it's done. But RCY, I mean, he's really sort of starting to make a name for himself, like pre-Abed, right? I mean, I think there's a lot, there's a bright future ahead of this player, and we might see some flashes of it here today. I think, you know, this is kind of like a sign that Wildcard, they're pulling out the big guns, right? They know that. I mean, from the chat at least, they're saying that, okay, Sammy boy got some business to go to. Big businessman Sammy needs to deal with some situation. But I mean, right now we have everybody presumably on what their comfortable roles would be, right? RCY back, excuse me, in the mid lane, and I'm excited for a good game. I'll be honest. When we did see the mini Faceless Void come out just yesterday, I believe it was quite a treat. And we already saw some very inspiring Faceless Void performances with in other sort of high-profile tournaments as well. So, I mean, we especially with the time dilation, I think this time dilation is going to go absolutely crazy this game. Take a look at all these heroes. They have such low cooldown spells that they just want to spam out, and it's just going to be completely nullified. I'm really excited for this game.
Yeah, I'm excited. You're excited. We're all excited. So we are going to unpause the game and go ahead and get into the action for game number 2. Infamous, they are going to 5-man smoke out of the base. We'll see if they're actually going to be looking to set up a player. If this is just a smoke to come out, get vision. This is something that they did in game number 2 as well. They smoked out to try to get vision, to try to detect where the early vision was for the side of Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah. And it ended up working out for them. They did end up getting the first blood from it too. No, sorry. They they did. They did end up getting the first blood from it. So they are making use of this nice sort of early level in Shadow Walk to get a eye out for their opponents here. GRPX is gonna spot them out, knows that they're on the bot side, and seems to know they have some sentries being placed that block out the camp as well. So quite a bit of early information being gathered by this lineup of Infamous, and these early smokes, they have really paid out for them in the way of just better informing them of how they want to play these early games. I still fully expect a kind of 2-2 bounty sort of split here, but level 1 of Wildcard is not necessarily... I mean, both teams actually. Level 1's not really super significant. Wildcard, they're going to contest though.
Sunlight with the quicker fingers, able to secure it. But Sunlight, he might have to pay the Pied Piper for this. Gonna be walked down with the Ion Shell. Flea in the area. Is he taking the bubble? No. GRPX1 gonna pick up first blood with the hit out of Shadow Walker. Now trying to chase after Flea. Flea gonna put him into the bubble to make sure, trying to ensure that there is no second kill. But a second grenade is gonna come out, trying to walk him down with the Ion Shell. Flea. Oh, he's just quick enough. Oh, Sunlight gonna get back into the field of play. That's gonna be his own blood grenade thrown out onto Nuages. So this fight is about to split. Nuages looks like he's gonna fall to Sunlight, but they do get the kill onto Flea all the same. So that is gonna be a 2-for-1 trade here. 40 seconds into the game.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, not too bad for the Darkseer, given that his lane isn't going to be the prettiest. They're going to have to do some, creep pulling shenanigans for them to get in a good spot. But byproduct of that early aggression means that Heiko gets a nice sort of wave, or half of a wave at least, delivered to his tower. He's going to be able to contest some of these creeps. And we already see the shenanigans going to begin, right? GRPX is probably going to be looking for either a block of the small camp, which he's already successfully done, or, perhaps pulling back. Now, Sunlight does have that level 2 advantage, so they do need to be careful. They can't really gang up on him, or I say it that. Maybe I'm telling a lie. The stun up, Sunlight,
yeah,
he's going to go down. And the courier, dodge away. Ark manages to save that precious baby Roshan, but GRPX, he's not giving up.
Nor did he.
One thing about a bounty hunter, your couriers are not safe. Okay, don't let your guard down. You can't be doing that. But yeah, I mean, really good early start for the bot side of Infamous. They are, Heiko, he had a stellar game number 1 on that Mars, not really missing a beat. And I mean, this Darkseer, definitely a very sort of hard hero to pull off, but especially with the backup of GRPX, they make it happen. Top side, some action, time walk forward.
Oh, but the spear back is gonna, the spear cancels the combo here.
Yeah. I mean, Wildcard, like you said, we'd love to see a game 3, but with the way these lanes are going, I mean, it's this Faceless Void lane as well with this CM, it's gonna put a lot of pressure out on the monster. It's not so easy for him to step up to the plate and really try and contest. He would love to sort of throw hands onto this Faceless Void Mini, but Mini, swallow time. Still doing okay on the CS, all things considered. Take a look at our mid lane, the Mr. Jeans RCY matchup, like we said. Pretty even all throughout. I mean, the Void Spirit has been an absolute plague in this meta after becoming universal and just very formidable. Can really scale up in terms of damage now. And some trading back and forth. I mean, both of these heroes have ways of negating physical damage and, trading these blows. So I don't think they'll be too pressed about, swinging their blades at each other. GRPX in the bot side.
Roshan denied. No, Sunlight able to pick it up with the charge.
Yeah, good timing on that one, and slightly unfortunate. A bit too much HP on that bounty hunter. And I mean, all things considered, I don't think it's that bad because the Medusa is getting a decent amount of farm. It's not. I mean, you take a look at Heiko's sort of last hits. It's not looking too good, even though he had some pretty decent early kills, right? It's just a byproduct of the lane. Like, you really need to apply a lot of resources just to peel Sunlight off you. And if you don't, I mean, you're just gonna be zoned out regardless. Even if you're not zoned out, Heiko has to try and contest for last hits with Arc, which is a tall task in itself.
Right. Yeah, this Medusa out 16-9 up against the 7-3 Darkseer. But I mean, Darkseer, it is one of those heroes that he can come back from a bad laning phase. They are going to have a go onto Hiko. There's going to be the Mystic Snake coming out, following up from the charge. Blood Grenade coming out. Hiko, dot damage. Stick charge is going to be enough to keep him alive. Now GRPX1, he's chopped through all the mana of the Medusa with that Ion Shell. Vacuum drag back.
Okay.
They're going to get him both.
I mean, we're kind of... What is it, like 2 months-ish into the patch now? And I mean, you gotta play for those Lotus. Like you gotta keep an eye out for those Lotuses making the difference here. And I mean, Heiko gonna deny himself just for a free reset. I believe there was some action in the mid. A Fortify coming out. Mr. Jeans trying to put some pressure on the RCY. But a nice TP rotation. Sunlight gonna allow that bottle to be refilled. And now Jeans, the one in a little bit of trouble.
GRPX1 is in the area as well, but a good 17% bash is going to connect. Good Remnant. Trying to retreat. Under tower. Diving at Sunlight. But he didn't get the bash that he needed as GRPX1 with the Janata hit. Going to take half of his HP. And we are going to reset.
Dude, I love the confidence of Mr. Jeans because if he bashed, Jeans would be dead. He had Stick, he had Fairy Fire, but he didn't even sweat it. Maybe he was confident that the infused raindrop block would be enough. But still, I mean, I would have pressed that for sure. That guy is living on a prayer right now in the mid lane and manages to even things out again.
Oh, up top. A lot of damage onto Mini and Nuages. They are pressuring this lane.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we were hoping for from this duo, right? The Flea and Monster sort of Mars Shadow Demon that are able to really just pressure out this Faceless Void.
On a Faceless Void. Time walk forward.
Whew.
Whew. Blood Grenade coming out.
The time dilation. No stacks of that, so that's just going to be one. Not too bad. But yeah, I mean, Mini. He's a little bit on the struggle bus right now.
Oh, Nuages. He's on the struggle bus too.
I mean, that's just an easy combo, but they want to set up on the monster. Jeans is here.
Coming in, but they didn't connect with the Remnant monster. He's trying to retreat. He's going to juke himself up to the northeast, trying to delay the kill for as long as possible. Mr. Jeans is going to get the credit for the kill. 245 gold going in his pocket. Boss side, do we have action?
Oh, I mean, I thought Heiko was going to surge in and run towards Sunlight, but he decides to cop out instead. Doesn't want to risk it. Doesn't want to give his Medusa any sort of advantage he doesn't have to. But yeah, I mean, they were really squaring up on Sunlight, forcing out just the Tranks to keep running. Now Sunlight, caught sight of the Darkseer. Looking for a goal, but yeah, I mean, I don't think they can. Vanguard complete, Heiko will be fine.
Oof, that Mystic Snake, though.
Rolling Thunder in the mid.
Rolling Thunder. Mr. Jeans. Looks like he's going to be okay, though.
I'm just getting beta. Yeah, I mean, we're just getting beta left, right, and center. It seems like everyone's trying to make aggressive moves, but they don't really have the, I guess, facilities to close out any of these initiations. You're just kind of swinging wet blankets at each other at this point in time. No real threat. Now, Mini might be in a bit of a bad spot here. Time dilation does come out. The spear too. Perfect. Lands on the terrain. Wow. I mean, that was just perfectly lined up.
That really was very well executed. They did commit quite a few resources with 2 TPs coming in to ensure the kill of Mini. But they did get the kill on the carry. And we'll take a quick look at the net worth. And I mean, they're not doing too bad on the side of Infamous. Looking at the last hits, I thought it was going to be a lot worse than what it is. Pretty even game, only slightly 1K favoring the side of Infamous. The big difference maker being the 2K difference between the mid laner and the 2 mid laners. The RCY Pangolier down at the bottom of the cores. Meanwhile, the Void Spirit in 2nd place.
Yeah, I mean, this Pango really... It's going to be a little bit, right? Has just finished the Corrosion. I think hasn't really had the best luck. Had to ask for a couple of bottle refills as well. Mr. Jeans has just looked so good this series.
All right, action will resume.
It looks like Wildcard are trying to just continue to be aggressive on the top side, contesting for the rune, but Flea in the area.
Oh, it's going to be the disruption bubble. He is going to be able to astral step himself up onto the high ground, so he will be fine. Mayhaps this is a go onto Monster. They know the support is not here. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, they're able to get a kill on GRPX1. Time dilation slow coming out onto Monster Flea, though. He's back into the area, so they should not be able to get a kill here.
Yeah, he needed that bash like 1 or 2 hits earlier, but by that time, you know, too close to the tower. Don't want to kind of risk, especially with the tower protection aura. Flea has a mango if necessary, can throw out another disruption. Looks like it's setting up for the bot side. Heiko acting as bait here. Sunlight might fall for the trap.
Oh, Sunlight looks like he is trapped up, but with the Stone Gaze, they're going to turn this around. Mr. Jeans, he does fall, but we cut through all the mana. GRPX1 trying to get the kill onto Arc, but it's not going to be enough.
Double kill.
RCY, really good immediate sort of reaction there. Now, more than anything, I think Arc and Sunlight really tag teamed up to make that one happen. The Stone Gaze catching the Void Spirit out for even just a second was enough for them to chain things up. And with how well the lane has been going, Sunlight, he's actually at level 6. I mean, you take a look at the counterpart on the other side. GRPX is struggling a little bit at that level 4 despite being part of like 5 kills so far. It's just not look too good in terms of the levels department. I mean, and it's not even like his Wisdom Rune got denied or something. It's just, you know, maybe he's trying to give the Darkseer as much EXP as possible, but still, levels-wise, they're just behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a bit of an XP lead for Wildcard Gaming here in game number 1, or game number 2, rather. And that is something to keep your mind on, is that is going to be Arena Whiff in the top lane, trying to connect onto Nuages, but Nuages was able to get to the right side of the arena. Now GRPX1 on the hunt with his Ion Shell, trying to scout out and give as much vision. Oh, but they dropped the sentry. So they know that Honey's in the area. Finding out Arc. That Mana Snake, though, gonna fully regenerate. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Mr. Jean's gonna find RCY.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a tussle for the rune. Nuwa just manages to snatch it right out of the Pangos. And, you know, right under his nose. And then, I mean, it was quite a big commitment. They did use Chrono. They basically tossed out every single spell they had to try and keep him from rolling up there and managing to successfully do so. Not the worst Chrono to start things out. I mean, you get a high-value kill on the mid laner who's been on a bit of a roll. And, yeah, I mean, I like that sort of rotation. It's a bit awkward because you rarely see a Faceless Void want to leave this lane. But he just walks all the way down, takes part in that fight, and ends up working out. Now, Monster
going in onto Hiko, or on Monster. Freezing field, but he's out onto the other side of where the damage is. As Monster being tracked down, body blocked up, trying to make sure they give the kill to Mini. And Operation Mini gets another kill as a success.
Yeah, and Operation Mini gets another kill. Mini gets his Midas. I mean, this guy is about to ramp up in a big way. You talk about the Medusa being a late game sort of carry and really being a terror in this current patch, but with the start the Void is having, Mini is going to scale up in a big way too. I don't think he has anything to be concerned about. Apart from that, you know, early pressure he was sustaining from the I guess Flea as well as Monster. They haven't really been able to convert it to much.
Protection in the bottom lane. They know where GRPX1 is. Oh, but he's out of the sentry. No more dust.
Oh, no. I mean, it's a bit unfortunate. Would have liked to just get a free pick-me-up there. Just a bit of gold there for Arc, but RCY finds Heiko. The charge comes out. Oh, they want to fight.
They dropped the wall here. As Hiko, the charge is going to connect, as the Nether Strike, but it does bash him back down to the low ground. But meanwhile, GRPX1 just chipping away at Arc, making sure that he cannot come in and put out any damage. Vacuum from Hiko is not going to keep him alive. But now here comes Mr. Jeans, here comes Nuages, Freezing Field, or I'm sorry, Frost Blast, going to come out, but there's going to be the disruption to counter the combo. RCY able to get the swashbuckle off and get back up to the high ground. So all in all, a successful fight for Wildcard Gaming.
Not too bad getting the kill on the Heiko. It's a lot of commitment though. They use the rolling, they use the, you know, the Shadow Demon out. But, you know, all things considered, these are all very low, you know, cooldown ultimates. They aren't going to be too pressed about that. And, I mean, making use of the window where they understand, okay, the Faceless Void is not likely going to be interested in taking a fight. It's still a window where GRPX just has not found EXP to hit that level 6. He's, what, it feels like maybe like 2 or 3 creeps away from it, but he just can't find the angle to do so. And you're still missing the track. I mean, that's going to be a huge part of trying to get some of this gold or get some sort of advantage, but hasn't really been able to do so. And I think they noticed him. Ion Shell was actually going off here. Flea seems to be looking.
Yeah, said I don't want any of that. I'm gonna TP back. I'm getting back to safety.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 2 minutes smoked up. Rotating top.
You want to get Monster in again. Mr. Jeans primed and ready. Oh, but Monster sniffs it out. I mean, they gotta know. They don't see anybody on the map right now apart from this Faceless Void quietly. Trying to farm as unsuspiciously as possible. Nothing's going on here. Monster runs into Nuages. CM might just go
Oh,
down,
here
but
comes the friends. As that's going to be the arena, the freezing field is immediately canceled, or is it? No, the spear connected onto Mr. Jeans. Charge coming in from Sunlight. Nether Strike surely soon to follow, but the Frostbite cancels that as Mr. Jeans trying to steal the XP rune. But it does go to RCY. RCY is going to go ahead and go through the Rolling Thunder as well.
a
Diffusal
diffusal
Blaze
inhibit.
flow onto Mr. Jeans. Nether Strike does connect. As this is going to be the death of Mr. Jeans. But Minnie's going to come in with the Chrono. The Chrono connects onto 2. He's going to be able to get the kill onto Sunlight. Bash out. Freeze the Frostbite's there as well. One more bash. They got it. They got down RCY. Now Monster. He's into the fray. But he does not have the arena arc. Made the TP rotation. Flees here as well. The disruption bubble. Spear's going to come out as well.
Oh,
that is going to
perfect.
be the death of Minnie. They did time that out just picture perfect.
Yeah, I mean, the tips come out because RCY, even though he dies there, he understands that Mini's committed himself to a very, very precarious position. There's no way that Faceless Void is getting out of that one. Now, all things considered, I don't think it's that bad, but given that the Midas is off cooldown and, you know, you could very much be ramping up your own farm the whole time up, Medusa's straight chilling, right? Already working towards a Manta, really starting to sort of claw back up after a very quiet early game, and things are starting to even out a little again. Now, this GRPX bounty has finally hit the level 6, so I fully expect that Mr. Jeans will still keep the pedal to the metal, right? Still look for these engagements, still try and, you know, make use of that vision and get these pickoffs, ramp them up in that way. And yeah, we already see it. I mean, some circling coming out and some pings as well. They want to aggress onto Sunlight, who they know is in this area thanks to the track.
Keeping that track refreshed. The lad does have the... Oh, can they get him before he goes through the portal? Oh, they waited just a second too late.
Ah, GRPX. I mean, they are going to get this tower, so not too bad. And considering the fact that that entire rotation was essentially spotted by this nicely placed ward on the Radiant side, Wildcard, they knew I was coming and just kind of beat them to the punch a bit. Speaking of beating them to the punch, Noir just charged, but they ain't going to risk it. They don't know where the West of Infamous are.
Chrono Man on a backlog of Chronospheres for another 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Please give us some patience while we are waiting to restore our connection.
Yeah, I mean, right now it definitely feels like Wildcard. They're hankering for a fight here, and sure enough, the charge goes through.
Yeah,
they found
they're gonna
3.
find
Arena!
Arena connects onto 2. Bub with the Dissimulate. He's able to get himself to the other side. The Spear's going to connect. They do find the Bounty Hunter. One more touch is all it takes. 28 seconds without the Bounty. They were itching for a fight. They got one. They got a little pick off. I'm sure they would have liked to get their hands onto that Void Spirit, though.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Wildcard, you can kind of sense they really, really want to just keep the fight going, keep Infamous on the back foot. They don't want to allow the Void to continue hitting this every 1.5 minute window. Get a Chrono Kill, get a Chrono Kill. They want to put them on the back foot, but it's just been so stale coming out from like Infamous and Wildcard. They both can't seem to get anything more than singular pickoffs on one another. This might be a team fight that they've been looking for, though, but Infamous, they're the ones to try and find it this time round.
Well, finding out Sunlight, that's going to be a track kill going the way of Mini. And now they see Arc. Pings out the Arc. That is going to be the wall of replica. But they do have the Stone Gaze coming out as well. So Arc, he's going to be able to get the Hex out. GRPX1, he's being tracked down by RCY. That is going to be a kill going the way of Wildcard Gaming. But now we're focusing on to the Medusa. The Mana Shield's almost all the way gone. And now with the Chronosphere, going to be committed to the Freezing Field as well. That's some damage outside of Chrono as Nuages ensures the kill of Arc.
Hot damn, Mini with that Chrono. Okay. Oh, Monster, no!
Spear doesn't connect as they find RCY hanging out in the trees. There's going to be his charge through as he is going to be able to get away. There's going to be a good arena. They get the kill onto Mini. Oh dear, oh me, oh my. Mr. Jeans with the Dissimulate trying to get to the other side, but they stole the Haste Rune. Nuacha stole the Haste Rune. He is able to have the Astral Step to get himself back up, but the blink from RCY. Shield crash. There it is. There's the kill. Now the charge. Who's it on? It's onto some creeps as they are going to be able to connect onto anything. GRPX1 in the area. Nuacha is still running around. Boo Scoop Boogie with this Haste Rune.
I mean, this game has just been an absolute mess so far. I mean, that fight feels like it's gone on for like 2 whole minutes. You know, normally in these kind of situations, you think, okay, GRPX, he's gonna be living it up because he's just on the bounty, getting these 3 track kills, but he just gets singled out from the start, gets caught by that initial arena. It feels like the fight just extends all the way to the mid. They finally get a nice chrono. They manage to get the Medusa in the engagement, but they end up losing Mini for it. So altogether, very, very even. The goal lead still less than 1, and I mean, all things considered, I do think this has to favor Wildcard. I think RCY managed to come out mostly on top in that fight. Blink Dagger completed, as well as the Fusel now working towards that Aghanim shard. And he's just going to continue to become more and more of a threat. And on the flip side, Mr. Jeans, he's still kind of waiting out the next sort of item for himself. Looks to be a Heaven's Halberd. So not a build we haven't seen before. Pretty good against the Medusa. And very defensive as well. So he's going to be able to survive a lot longer in these fights. I'm just a little worried because you take a look at Ark, this man's just farming. Now, he is being surpassed, even if it's just slightly, by the Faceless Void in net worth. But the Faceless Void, as we've seen, up against the Bash from the Spirit Breaker, from the Pango eventually, right? And from the Mars, just with the constant disruption, it's not so easy to maneuver these fights.
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing that they're going to have to figure out is how to get in and out of this engagement with Mini still alive. I feel like the last 2 or 3 engagements that we've had that Mini has shown up to, he has inevitably fallen in the afterfall kills after that chrono is expended, after he's already gotten the kill that he was looking for. It's just now we've got to be able to get him out so he can keep on farming. As disarmed up is the Void Spirit, going into the Rolling Thunder, RCY, he's going to blink up onto the high ground, tracking down Nuages, Hiko, Monster rather, going to come in, throw out the Spear with the Arena, the Freezing Field with the Frostbite, Mini coming in, dissimulate, no, oh wait, I'm sorry, the Bubble, gotta go there, Monster, but they tracked it down with the Remnant. So that is going to be the death of the Mars. This fight did not go the way that they were hoping for. Now Chrono's going to come out. Stone Gaze came out first. As now the Nether Strike. Mini, he just cannot get a kill inside of this Chrono. Oh no, he's locked up. But he does get the time walk off. He barely gets the time walk off. So he is going to survive for now. Now they're focusing aggression now onto Ark. His mana pool is almost completely gone. That is going to be another bubble coming out from the Shadow Demon. Remnant combo again, charge through, gets the kill. Sunlight, what a player. Mini gonna come in, then he has to go and time walk himself back out. Wand charges, keep Ark and give him some more mana. As again, it looks like Wildcard Gaming are holding their own here. And maybe coming out ahead?
God damn, Sunlight is a beast. This man, the charges through.
No chill in this guy's dictionary.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about wanting a game 3. Sunlight seems to want it just as much as us. It was a bit of a whiffed initial initiation from Monster and RCY. You could tell they were trying to get something done. Didn't really manage to do so, and the turnaround Freezing Field was perfect from Infamous. Here's the tricky part, though. As soon as they try and dogpile in to this Medusa, they're forming a perfect straight line. That's like Sunlight at the bowling alley, and he's the bowling ball. Just charges straight through them. Same situation for RCY, right? When you're lining up just like that, it allows him to get swashbuckle after swashbuckle and flee on point with these disruptions. Like you said, the bubbles, a first and a second one, buying so much time for the Medusa. It reached a point where even though the Medusa was low on mana, didn't have a lot to work with, it was just enough, and it was too much remaining HP, remaining resources for the side of Infamous to work through, especially after being swashbuckled, charged through. They were also low and they were forced to run. So really, really nice play coming out from Wildcard. If there's anything about that particular engagement, it shows that, okay, they're very clear on what this draft needs to do, right? It's not really a typical protect the president strategy. It's more like put the president in front of the assassins and then hope the assassins all line up for a free shot, right? That's exactly what RCY and Sunlight are trying to do. And yeah, I mean, it's worked out perfectly. So Infamous, they need to try and get a bit more creative with how they choose to take these fights. Now, they've been very good with receiving the aggression. Now they just need to make sure they don't file into that single line every single time they try and get the Medusa. They need to maybe try and approach from different angles. Someone needs to get their hands on Flea because this Shadow Demon is untouched and he is a problem.
Yeah, and when they got the chance to get their hands on Flea, here comes Sunlight with the Nether Strike.
Yeah,
again,
perfect.
just messing up the plays. So I mean, these supports, they're doing a great job playing off of each other, saving the other heroes, saving the cores. It's just,
Yeah.
it's starting to become a bit of a problem that Infamous, they're gonna have to go to the drawing board to try to figure out how to solve. Because Sunlight and Flea, they're not going to be in the same spot. These aren't two backline supports that are going to be playing around each other in these team fights. You're going to
Yeah.
have to be able to answer these questions on the opposite sides of these team fights, unless you just get an amazing initiation from the Faceless Void, it feels like. Because,
Yeah.
I guess you can get like a... No, we don't have Blink. We don't have Blink on Hiko, and that's not even in his quick buy either. He's going for Pike. So, like, the initiation, as far as like surprise initiation goes, multi-man initiation goes, it really is just relying on the mini Faceless Void.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing with Doubts here is that yes, he has the propensity to blink in, get a huge vacuum and all, but how often are you gonna get these all these wildcard members standing next to each other?
Right.
I mean, you need a really good bait. Right now, a lot of pressure on Mr. Jeans to try and go in, be that little dangling fish in front of them for all of them to swarm over, but it just hasn't really worked out that way. They're very sort of adept at just addressing him where he comes in, and I mean, honestly, Rada, if I told you that out of all the heroes in this game right now, Spirit Breaker is playing as the safe support, would you believe me? I mean, he's just done such a good job. Like, as soon as the Chrono comes out, you could tell Infamous, they're trying to single out the Medusa, just wipe out the mana pool with that one. It was first a disruption, then immediately the Swashbuckle disarm, then the Nether Strike right as he's trying to get the kill on Flea. It just doesn't. It's so annoying. I mean, this Spirit Breaker, he's who needs an Oracle? Who needs False Promise when you have Nether Strike?
The strongest save spell of them all, Nether Strike. Who knew
Nether
it?
Strike, yeah. That's I mean, quite literally, if you ever sort of got into a sticky situation and someone's like trying to bully you or anything, striking them in their nether usually is not not something I condone, but you can't really go wrong with that. Really leaves them rather incapacitated, I must say. And I mean, a Wildcard, Sunlight in particular, you know, he's mastered that tactic.
Nah, screw that, man. Everything's legal in a street fight.
Yeah, I mean, the second you raise those hands, you're in for a treat, buddy. I'm swinging that leg straight up in there.
Oh, dude,
no,
yeah,
no,
I'll bite you. I'll pull your ear.
Oh my
I'll
God.
kick you in the groin. I don't care, man. It's
I'm
a
not.
street fight.
Okay, now I know I'm never challenging Rada to a street fight. That was nasty, Mr. Jeans. Not a lot of mana forced to dissimulate. Okay. I mean, things have definitely quietened down a little bit, but seems like Wildcard, they want to heat things up. A smoke popped out. RCY and Flea looking for action. And the line is drawn. They know that Infamous members are in this bottom path and they want to flush them out like the rats that they are. But I don't know whether they're going to find anybody. Oh, this could be a fight, Rada. The charge.
Trying to set it up. Rolling Thunder, blink in. Mini gets his BKB off. Now he's gonna come forward, throw out the Chronosphere, but another
Disruption.
bubble from Flea, another disruption, canceling the combo, and now the counter initiation. They have the spear. Do they have the damage to bring down Mini? Mini with the time log, he's gonna be able to get himself back up onto the high ground. They canceled out the freezing field. There's gonna be a wall. The wall coming out. Arc, he's taking a lot of damage. His mana is almost all the way gone. He's thrown out some mana snakes. Is it gonna be enough? Arc, they're focusing on
Arc's done.
him. Cutting down. There's no Flea bubble this time. As they are, the cup is finally runneth over. Sunlight is going to charge to get himself back to safety, out of this lane, out of dodge, and hopefully out of their arms. Hiko surging up. Nah, they're not going to have an angle for that.
Yeah, I mean, really good fight coming out from the side of Infamous. I thought it was toast for this Faceless Void, but he manages to get out just by the skin of his teeth. It was a bit of an awkward situation because even though they did catch him in the arena, the key members of Wildcard who were supposed to sort of finish the deed weren't in position to do so. The Medusa was a bit too far away from the fight, didn't have any way of trying to get in there, and Infamous, they capitalized on that perfectly, right? Mini, he's in this kind of awkward area in front of the secret shop, and the Medusa trying to slowly slither her way up there. As soon as Infamous catch sight of her, they just turn tail and just crush her mana pool. And you can even see in the very dying moments there, Mars just has the bullet on, trying to block as much as possible. But charge coming out, Mr. Jeans might be some trouble.
Mr. Jeans. Oh, now he's going to Astral Step his way back in. He's going to be disarmed from RCY. Nether Strike. Going to put him back down onto the low ground. But Assimilate dodges out the spear. Frostbite coming out onto Sunlight. So they are going to be able to get rid of this damn Barathrum finally. Or are you? He's going to buy back. Come back into the fray. As that's going to be another disruption. Fleet keeping himself alive. The charge is going to come through onto Mini. Mini's going to be locked up, controlled. Is he going to be able to get away? Time Walk. Gets himself up to the high ground. Going to pop the BKB as well. Rolling Thunder coming through. Mini wants to get his hands onto Fleet. But Fleet's just backing himself back. He can't close the distance as Hiko is going to be the only one trapped out into the wall. They throw out the arena. Stonegate is going to come out as well. Hiko's still trapped onto the high ground, surrounded, beset on all sides. Looks like Hiko is going to die. And with that, it looks like that's going to be the end of the fray.
I mean, I don't know whether it's worth it. Sunlight instantaneously brought back, kind of maybe predicted that fight would go a bit longer. Mr. Jeans dashed in, immediately just disarmed that Medusa as well. That was the end of that. And I mean, once again, they're doing a really good job in terms of using Mini as a bait. Oh, top side, Sunlight.
Nuages, Nether Strike, bashed up, Force Staff, trying to get away, another Frostbite. Solar Crest, Monster starting to come over in the area as well, preemptively using the Soul Ring. But he didn't see the angle. Blink Dagger was still on cooldown. So he's not going to be able to get this kill onto the Crystal Maiden.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I do feel like, just kind of back to the point I was making, I do feel like Mini, he's doing a really good job in terms of being this little dangling bait for them every single time they think they got him. He just manages to slide out by the skin of his teeth, and then it sets up this perfect engagement for Infamous, right? Suddenly, the Darkseer has complete vision because GRPX, he's just tracking them up while they're trying to come for his Faceless Void, and suddenly the teamfight is a lot more manageable. They just need to kind of keep this up. They need to single out the Shadow Demon and not allow him to just run rampant in every fight. The disruptions, it's too much to bear. Right, okay. Ooh. Looks like there's a bit of aggression coming out, Mr. Jeans.
They still have vision, so they are going to look to charge. Astral Step gets back to where his homies are. So the charge is going to be canceled by Sunlight. Now he might be caught out, looking for the bash. Not going to connect on it now, but the stun coming out from GRPX1. He wrapped around from the southeast. Going to pop his own BKB. Arc standing on the high ground, pumping out some damage with his Scotty. Throwing Snowball. Sungaze going to come, or Stonegaze going to come out. RCY trying to connect onto anything that he can with the Rolling Thunder, but they're backing up so beautifully, playing on a string, are Infamous.
Yeah, I mean,
they do have a Chronosphere, and they are going to throw it out, connect onto two. Flee, though, with a Disruption Bubble yet again, being such a pest as Sunlight. He is going to go down. BKB coming out from Monster, looking for the BKB TP, but the bash coming through. You thought you could go, but we say no, as both who were caught in the Chrono fall, and 7K is the net worth advantage for Infamous now.
I'm a little worried. I want a game 3, but Wildcard, they don't have enough burst damage. They had it earlier on, but as Mini continues to defensively itemize, Lincoln's complete now just means that that's one other avenue for them setting up on him that's no longer available. You're gonna have to expend some, single target spells, and all you really have is this Mystic Snake, is this Flea, ultimate, or disruption, or maybe even the Disseminate, but it's just getting more and more awkward. In the previous engagements, you had the chance of bursting down Mini. Right now, he's always going to be able to reliably get 1 or 2 huge time walks off, shrugging off the damage, and I don't know whether the Medusa can match up to him. She's trying to ramp up her own, punch through that Daedalus right now. But Mini, he's looking at a Mjolnir. He's going to be putting out a lot of work too. And I mean, Infamous, they're starting to scale. They're starting to get big.
Yeah, they are. Lots of auras built up onto the Darkseer, now working his way towards the Aghanim Scepter. So he will be doing a lot of punches in a normal fashion.
Jeans, in some trouble.
Oh, charge is going to be initiated onto him as well. Monster blinking in. That is going to be the death of Mr. Jeans. No escape possible.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He had his Disseminate for 1 more second. And Flee. Okay, just creating some illusions. Got me scared for a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, with that kill, 50 seconds without the Void Spirit, they could actually try and Roche, I think. They could just stroll up and try and get it done. I think Noir just trying to scout that out, make sure that's not happening. But it seems like they're happier just kind of clearing out some of the vision on the map. RCY does have that gem picked up. It's just slowly sweeping the top side. He's gonna make his way through the center area as well. Just making sure that Infamous don't have as much information to work with. They're fully gonna have to rely on the bounty hunter to find the vision for them. I still do think, all things considered, I mean, 6k Goldly aside, I really think Infamous, they still have very firm grasp on the game, save for that pick off. It's not really the end of the world. Nullifier being looked up at by this faceless, Void Spirit, finally got confused there.
It had to happen eventually, dude.
Yeah, I mean, 30 minutes was a good one. I mean, that's it for me. Thank you, everyone. Okay, but this might be the team fight. This is the Roche. It'll be a huge win for Wildcard if they could get it. And they already have the vision set up, smoked up, sending Medusa illusions in. That they need a perfect opening from this Darkseer. They need to find it. Monster.
Oh, Monster get caught out while Arc was in the bubble. Are they going to be able to pick up this kill real quick? And they do. GRPX1. Meanwhile, there's a Chrono onto the backlines, making sure they're going to be able to bring down Sunlight. Sunlight walking away with a quarter HP. As now, trapped up into the Stone Gaze is Hiko. Disarmed now is the Medusa. Vacuum, drag her back, going to the wall. Illusions pumping out damage. Look at the mana being cut down. Now it's HP. She has no mana left. Out already down to half HP, down to her knees, brought down, and beat up. As they get the kill onto the Mars as well.
I mean, that was just... that was perfect. I mean, yeah, like you said, I'm sure you're about to say that should be Roche.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that fight was everything Infamous needed. I mean, it definitely still felt like they were in the driver's seat and just a perfect backline jump. We talked about how Infamous, they need to get a bit creative. They need to try and find different angles, and they did that perfectly. Faking the initiation, Mr. Jeans jumps straight onto the monster Mars, and meanwhile, Mini, looking at the back line, just singles out Sunlight, removes that big bulky bodyguard that's been a thorn in his side the entire time. And because of that, the fight is just completely freed up. I mean, Flea, he can have one bubble, he can have two bubbles, but they just go pop in the face of Infamous. Just overwhelming team fight. And by the time the Medusa finds her angle, tries to get set up, then that's just where the Heiko wall comes through, and suddenly you can have the Mars, you know, put up the walls, but your enemies are right beside you. You're not really being protected against anything. And I mean, just overwhelming team fight superiority coming out from Infamous in that specific engagement. Now we're at a point where it's starting to mount up. 14k now for Infamous from that fight alone and Aegis. They can just keep this push on.
They have found Flea. Forced to use the ultimate. Now looking for the TP. No vacuum available, so they aren't going to be able to cancel this TP. Now looking for they're looking for a fight because they know where the enemies are. Disarm now is the Faceless Void. Time Walk coming in, coming back. Nuage is holding the high ground. Now his friends are starting to rotate over for Mini. No Chronosphere for the Chrono Man for another 14 seconds.
But he has the Aegis. He's not scared at all, and neither is Mr. G.
Remnant, but they're forcing it out. If only Chrono was available, that was an opportunity to go. Still 2 seconds. Charge onto Hiko, gonna be canceled. Now looking for Arc. Arc, he's gonna be using the Stone Gaze now. Arena, they have found out PX1. He is going to fall. Still holding the high ground is Infamous.
Don't think you want to fight. RCY going in.
Coming in. They both have vision here on the high ground, so they can all see everything in this engagement. That is going to be the arena. It connects onto Hiko, throwing out some damage. But the Chronosphere is going to be used just to stop the damage.
What?
Up in is RCY. Flea going to save him with another bubble. Freezing Field starting to come out. RCY Swashbuckle gets himself up to the high ground, but following up there is Mini. He still has the Aegis Fridge. Don't forget it. They're going to be buying back on a lot of heroes. Look at them all trapped up onto the high ground. Hiko with the vacuum trapped them all up onto the high ground. Mr. G's just waving at them all. And now, Time walking up onto the high ground to get his hands onto the Medusa. Goes Mini. Triple kill for the Faceless Void. And he is the king of the lobby and then some.
Wow, and the immediate all chat, where's Sammy boy? I mean, Hiko, the savior of that fight. I think they wouldn't have gotten away with it if not for that beautiful vacuum, but I think this is exactly what we talked about in the draft. Yes, you pick the Snake Lady. Yes, she's strong, but the one weakness of the Medusa, a tale as old as time, is number one, her mobility. She can't really keep up with the high octane Spirit Breaker, with the Pango rolling in, and with how the fights pan out. I mean, I was a bit confused because we saw that Chrono come down, it locked up as a Medusa, but I mean, the Heiko faces Void the Mini faces Void just went for every other target instead. I was like, oh, don't you want to smush this Medusa? But they realized it wasn't the Medusa they needed to worry about. They needed to take out the mana, they needed to take out RCY, and that was it. I mean, right now, easy tower being claimed, and now the Rex as well.
Yeah, first lane of barracks to fall. Normal punch gonna come out onto RCY, trying to roll up, trying to get himself back and towards safety. Charge gonna come through, connect onto Hiko. Rolling Thunder now coming out from RCY, trying to area fight, trying to get him out of the base. Nether Strike there onto Hiko, but that puts Sunlight onto the low ground. Arena Spear gonna be there onto Hiko as well. He's being brought down fairly low. Finally, they get a kill. It's gonna be onto the Darkseer. Meanwhile, our Mr. Jeans just diving into the backline to simulate to dodge the charge. Now he's going to be trapped up in the Stone Gaze. Spear's going to be there, pumping the damage into Mr. Jeans. Wand charges, trying to get out. He's disarmed. Astral Step, barely getting away, or is he? No, Arc finally. He's on a double kill. And now the charge coming out onto Nuages. The Pendulum is starting to swing here. Sunlight wants to charge forward. GRPX1 throwing out some tracks. Trying to maybe set the table here, Nuages. BKB freezing field.
Sunlight.
Sunlight and Mini now. He's gonna come in. There's gonna be the Chrono Spear. Bringing down Monster. And now Flea with another good save. Making sure that Arc doesn't fall in this engagement. Or does he? Because he's almost out of mana. Now it's going to the HP. He's dead. They've done it. Buyback is available. Now charge forward. They get the bash onto RCY. Disarmed now is Mini. So he won't be able to continue to chase up the high ground. Or will he? He's gonna go ahead and go in again. He gets disarmed. So RCY, he should be fine, but Mini has no chill. He's still coming in, still playing aggro. He doesn't have an Aegis of the Immortal here, guys.
I mean, he doesn't have mana, but neither does Flea. Had to pull out all the stops to save his allies and hang on to that Rex there, but they managed to do so on the back of Infamous. Perhaps Mr. Jeans getting a little too brazy with it, found himself right outside the fountain there and ends up going down. So a moment's respite. Wildcard, they do lose their carry, but it's not, it's not over just yet. They hang on to their Rex, or at least one of them, a ranged one at least, and it's not just over. I mean, so far, I think the story of this game just has been Heiko. He's been able to find these amazing initiations and these team fights when Monster, unfortunately, just hasn't, right? This Mars performance is, if you kind of, just put it side by side with Heiko's Mars just last game, a lot more spear waves, just not as cohesive of a team fight as we would like to see, given the early advantage that he got. And Monster, he is going to be the crucial component here to keep the pesky Mini locked down. I mean, this guy has just been sliding left, right, and center. You need that spear. You need that arena to keep him in place for any hope of taking this Faceless Void down. I mean, he is just playing so cocky. And, I mean, this is your opportunity, right? You can definitely punish him. You just need to make sure you line up your spells.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the lockdown this time around. Okay. I saw the Medusa's mana and HP starting to go down, and I got real nervous, but they were just taking a Tormentor.
Now, Sunlight does have the planar pocket. I don't know how significant it is in this particular game, but it still is a pretty handy tool, just because of the self-magic resistance that you get in that moment. Because the thing is, you get magic resistance until you redirect. So basically, for a brief moment in time, until someone casts a single target spell on you, for 6 seconds at least, you get 75% magic resistance, which is pretty significant and can go a long way. Against, like, for example, the magic damage. I mean, we saw how strong that freezing field was, just blew him up. Bot side, though, engagement.
Please. Forced to use the bubble on himself this time around. The Stone Gaze coming out. Nuage is going to be trapped up, but they do get the Chronosphere. Trying to make sure the Nuages doesn't fall, but stunned up is Mini. There's going to be the arena. What a beautiful arena. Oh no, but the back of the wall, the drag back. Oh, the Arc is being brought down low. They do kill the Medusa, as well as Sunlight on the back lines. They're able to find the Flea as well and get rid of that pesky Shadow Demon. And now here comes High Ground Siege number 2, the arena, or the Remnant clips, as it clips onto the Pangolier. RCY is down for 102 seconds. As it looks like game number 2 is going to be going the way of Infamous.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at the way Infamous play, even without 4DR, Mr. Jeans stepping up to the plate here, and you can really get a glimpse of how they defeated Nouns earlier on. Very, very formidable gameplay, and even though they've been forced to kind of, take a different approach to this game number 2, they still had such a strong showing, very, very solid draft, and it's all panning out together. We see, they're not just one-trick pony, have a couple of different stuff in up the sleeve in the cookbook here. And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I think this is gonna be GG. I mean, look at how confident they're feeling already. Already dancing and taunting in front of the fountain. A little bit of all chat come out as well. Classic NA, I believe, and yeah, I mean, they're gonna manage to get GRPX, but this game honestly feels dusted, don't you think, Rada?
I mean, it feels like the fat lady's singing, is
Yeah,
what it feels
I
like to
get
me.
it.
But no GG is going to be called, as this is going to be they're knocked out of the tournament if they lose this game number 2, as Infamous were able to take game number 1, sieging up all the buildings, all the little extra buildings to make sure that when the creeps come into the base, it will be only attacking tier 4s and ancients.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta feel a little sour for Wildcard, given that, this wasn't necessarily an ideal situation. For game number 1, it was clear that, there were some sort of kinks that needed to be ironed out in terms of the draft. They just didn't have the tools. And now, I mean, all things considered, I think their draft is a lot more robust. Of course, lending a few tricks from the Infamous playbook, but, just that's kind of the thing, even if you rip it, you can't necessarily dip it quite the same way, and we definitely saw that come to fruition. Now, Monster, I'm sure he's an excellent master. We've seen him perform on this hero before, and in fact, a grandmaster at it, but just this game not really hitting the mark in terms of setting up these team fights quite the same way, or at least finding these openings. Had a bit of an early advantage, and a decent one at that against Mini, but really couldn't, make it into anything meaningful. And now we find ourselves in this situation now. Wildcard, I don't think they're going to tap out. They're honorable. They're going to fight till the very end. But, you're up against Mega Creeps. That being said, if there's one hero to be able to do it, it might be Medusa. But we'll have to see. I don't think they're giving up just yet. But I'm going to be honest here. Gaben index, 0%. So,
Oof.
yeah, that's a oof.
Oof, baboof.
Mm-hmm.
As we're getting a little active here. That is going to be a 4-man smoke up from the side of Wildcard Gaming. They know that the Roshan play is going to be on the deck. We're going to place Vision. Mr. Jeans jumping up onto the high ground. Sunlight going to be caught out. Remnanted, Dissimulate, Nullified. One more right click. Down goes Sunlight. Going to buy back. Come into the fray. RCY with the Rolling Thunder. Trying to get his hands wherever he can onto these slippery heroes. They're all just kiting him out so damn well. Dissimulate. Mr. Jeans gets back up onto the high ground. Arc coming forward with the Stone Gaze.
Chrono?
Onto the backlines, the Chronosphere, but only connects onto Hiko. But the bubble to save yet again. As Hiko, but Sunlight, he's isolated, trapped down, brought down. Arc is gonna fall as well. No buyback on the Medusa. We're coming forward, trying to get our hands onto RCY, trying to get a high five from him because we're such a big fan. But he's too busy rolling up and dying. As that is gonna be GG called. Wildcard Gaming fall. Infamous moving on to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, what a strong showing here from Infamous. They definitely deserve to make it there. And yeah, mandatory Ga coming out from Monster there, showing some, love to the SA squad. I mean, this team, they had a bit of a, like we said, at the start, 4DR being missing definitely is a bit of a stinger there, but no one else better to carry that torch than Mr. Jeans. I think throughout this series, we definitely saw how Infamous they play together so well. They have these sort of set game plans and set pieces that feels like, they all are in sync when they're taking these team fights. They know how to kind of split up the target selection every single time. I really pity this Medusa because it just kind of felt like Ark didn't really have a game to play. Every single time you show your face as a Medusa, you think it's a good thing because you're Stone Gate. You turn people to stone. You got a Mystic Snake. Oh, it's all vibes. No, immediately slam down Dark Seer Wall on your head. You get so much focus and attention. Not really the right kind that you were hoping for. And I mean, Wildcard, unfortunately, that's going to be the end of their run in this tournament. But like you said, Rada, that puts Infamous as our first grand final.